may I please invite on stage the Ambassador of Norway, His Excellency, Nils Ragnar Kamsvåg. A huge round of applause for him, please.
Good morning to all of you. It's a great pleasure to be here today and share some of our experiences, because Norway, although a small country, we may show you a bit about how the future will be in a future where you have a much higher number of electrical vehicles in the transport mix in your country. If you're walking around in our capital, Oslo, these days, it's very different from a few years ago. Today, you better listen very carefully before you cross the street, because the low humming sound of the Teslas, the Nissan Leafs and the Volkswagen Golfs gliding past each other are not easily detectable. The future is silent and clean. While electrical cars are increasingly noticeable in most capital cities, the sheer number in Oslo and throughout the rest of the country can surprise visitors. Norway has been described as a world leader in this regard, and last year more than half of car sales were electric or hybrids. Driven by environmental concerns, the Norwegian Parliament has set 2025 as the goal for all new cars to be sold to be zero-emission cars. Neither the US, China, or Japan can say the same. You can easily walk around our bigger cities like Oslo, Bergen, Trondheim, and see electrical vehicles on every street corner. We are a small country of just 5 million inhabitants. It's safe to say that overhauling the Norwegian car park will not make much difference in terms of combating climate change. Instead, it may be better to think about Norway as the world's demonstration project for green transport solutions. That said, we can demonstrate fully functioning green transport solutions, but it's big countries like India that will need to put these solutions into use in order for them to have an impact on the world. Right now, I think India should look to Norway to see how green transportation solutions work in practice. Let me share some of the Norwegian experiences. Look first at the incentives. How did we get to the point where 50% of the new cars being sold are electric or hybrid? Well, you may think that our support policies are new. No, they are not. Since the 1990s, Norway has had a very generous incentive system to encourage the proliferation of electrical vehicles. Buyers escape heavy import or purchasing taxes, and they are also exempt from the 25% value-added tax. But it was not until car manufacturers started making EVs people wanted that sales started picking up a few years ago. New incentives were also introduced at this point. Availability of free public charging stations, as well as toll-free roads and ferries. Electric-driven car drivers could also use the bus lanes in order to beat traffic. Additionally, there has been much investment in EV infrastructure. There is now about 1 charging station per EV in Norway. Over 9,000 charging stations have been built so far. More is springing up every day. So why do ordinary Norwegians choose electrical vehicles? Well, it's not all down to environmental benefits. It's rather something more simple: money. Choosing an EV just makes economic sense in Norway. First of all, buying a car in Norway is expensive because of taxes. However, since EVs escape all initial tax and value-added tax, their price is in line with fossil fuel vehicles, even though electrical cars cost more to make and to buy. Additionally, the price of petrol and diesel is quite high. You may complain about the prices in India, but you should try the Norwegian ones. That's also because of the taxes. The EVs, on the other hand, run on cheap electricity, which is virtually free in comparison. In the more long term, this is a significant incentive for Norwegians. Reason number 2. We Norwegians like to consider ourselves environmentally conscious. In respect to EVs, the fact that electricity in Norway is based on 100% renewable energy makes the environmental arguments much more compelling than in most other countries when you are choosing an EV. That said, having money to buy a second car for the family also helps. In fact, most EVs in Norwegian households are second cars, often used by commuters looking to escape road tolls and to beat the traffic. Another point worth mentioning is that while over 70% of EV car owners cite economic benefits as the main driving force behind their choice of vehicle, over 25% cite environmental reasons. So all taken into consideration, a quarter of EV car owners citing environmental consideration, that's quite high. This is not all. Surveys also show that once you have bought an electrical vehicle, even though you did it for the money, your newfound environmental consciousness make you feel so good that you want to have more environmentally friendly things like eat less meat or use less energy. So what have we learned so far? Some of the lessons learned in Norway is about EV's relationship to the power grid. The number of EVs on Norwegian roads are causing some concern that the power grid will be overloaded. So far, this doesn't seem to be the real challenge, at least not in Norway. In fact, the national power grid operator says that it can easily manage 10 times the current number of EVs. However, there will be a need to some upgrades in the distribution grids in certain localities, in particular in mountainous areas where we Norwegians have our cabins. Many Norwegians also suffer from range anxiety, clinging on to a petrol car to carry our cross-country skis and other kit to the clean air at the mountain where we have our mountain cottages. On the other hand, studies do seem to indicate that the range anxiety subsides a little while after becoming an EV owner. And of course, the range are also increasing for the EVs these days. According to the companies operating the charging stations, the most valuable lessons in Norway is about customer service. Which software, app, and digital platform is the best in servicing customer needs? It needs to be easy to find chargers. The chargers need to be located in areas people are when they want to charge. For example, many people driving EVs in Oslo do so in order to avoid traffic. Therefore, they are not interested in charging during this time. However, placing charging stations outside malls or restaurants where the drivers will spend some time in the afternoon seem to be better solutions. The app also needs to make it easy to understand how much power you need, how much it costs, and provide an easy-to-use solution for payment. All of this is perfect to test in Norway. Actually, the Finnish company Fortum is the biggest charging company in Norway at the moment. They are currently using their insights from the Norwegian experience to plan their efforts in the Indian market. As was stressed by the previous speaker, the number of vehicles on Indian roads is set to grow from over 160 million to over 550 million in 2030. This begs the question, will these cars run on diesel or will they be electric? In order to service 240 million additional cars on the roads, new infrastructure must be developed. Will there be new gas station built or charging stations? For India and for the rest of the world, there is a big difference between those two choices. The Prime Minister has mentioned that the government will soon put in place a stable policy regime around electric and other alternative fuel vehicles. The government has also increased the subsidies by 100 crore rupees, taking in the total to 895 crore rupees under the FAME scheme. However, the second phase seemed to have been postponed once again, and a holistic roadmap is still lacking. Interestingly, we noted that the Delhi government released a draft policy for EVs a couple of days ago, with a goal of 25% of new cars registered being electric by 2023. This is a great new initiative. Infrastructure, technologies, and solutions are being developed, tested, and assessed in Norway. Valuable lessons have been learned from looking at customer behavior. Businesses and governments from all over the world are using this opportunity to gain insights into how the beginnings of a mass market for EVs function in practice. This will have a huge impact on the rollout of green transport solutions in other countries. Norway can support India's EV journey on many dimensions, from helping in EV regulations and standards to being a technology provider. The introduction of EVs also creates demand for technology and ancillary services for EV charging, batteries, and grid management, all of which could be key areas where Norwegian technology could be introduced. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing a technical revolution taking place today. Transport has broadly been run on liquid hydrocarbons the last 130 years. This is about to change. Norway's experience as the world's first mass market for EVs can provide valuable lessons for countries set to develop electric mobility. But the greening of the transport sector needs scale. A small country like Norway does not have the numbers to make that happen. India has the order of magnitude to completely transform the market for green transport solutions and usher in a new age of zero emissions transportation. I'm very pleased to such a diverse set of stakeholders in the automobile sector attending this important summit. This shows the enthusiasm of the Indian industry and its openness to learn from global experiences. I'm sure that we together can leverage our strengths and embrace the mobility revolution in India. Thank you.